keep the applause going. Don't stop clapping now. Welcome before that, the very funny Hannah Platt.
Hello, my name's Hannah. I see a counsellor. Of course I see a counsellor. My counsellor hates me, so we had that in common straight away. I was meant to see a counsellor for quite a few years, you know. I was just worried. I didn't want to go to a complete stranger, list all the reasons why I don't like myself, and have him go, yeah, that sounds about right. That's what we in the mental health world call self-awareness. Turns out, Hannah, you're not bipolar, you're just obnoxious. I know depression isn't a very original topic in comedy. We're all very depressed. But I feel like I've got to talk about depression because it is all my dad left me when he died. If we're thinking maybe it's a bit too early to be talking about that, just keep in mind he is dead at all times of the day. So. My dad died. I'm going to carry on talking about it. My dad died when I was going through puberty, so obviously it's affected a lot of my life. One thing it's really affected is the kind of guys I go for now. Stay with me. I've got an example. So I got a relationship recently, and by that I mean I was horrifically binned in February 2014. But he was a smoker like my dad, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Because now, you know, when your kids are smoking, it's a little bit like kissing an ashtray. It's a lot like kissing my dad. Because he was cremated. Don't actually see a counsellor anymore. That's because I've become a lot more comfortable in myself recently. Like, I know I'm a weirdo, but I feel like that's okay. Like, being a weirdo is a good thing. You know, weirdos create the best art. They're the most interesting people. I'm happy to be a weirdo. The only problem with being a weirdo when you do whatever this is people who tend to like your stuff tend to be suicidal people. And that's no way to build a fan base. If they're genuine, they're gonna dwindle, you know? I think I'd be terrible at being famous anyway. Famous people have got to be nice on cue. I can't be nice to people I like. Like, my favourite example of a famous person being nice to someone who didn't deserve it was Marilyn Monroe, right? So when she was alive, she was asked by this sleazy journalist, Marilyn, what do you wear in bed? And instead of kicking him in the face, she said, Chanel No. 5. Which is so cool, isn't it? That's so cool. I could never think of that. If someone asked me what I wear in bed, one side of my brain would go into panic mode because someone's asked me a question and I wasn't expecting a question. Just say anything, say something that's English language, just think of something. Or the other side of my brain is going, you're a funny girl, think of something funny, think of something witty, think of something cool, something clever. Or the whole time my mouth is just going, oh, I don't want to use t-shirt that used daytime clothes until I got beans on it. Not as cool. I think it's important to talk about this stuff, though, not beans. I think it's important to talk about mental health, because obviously we don't know what's going on inside people's heads until we talk about it. Like, you wouldn't know from looking at me that there are days where, you know, I've had terrible self-worth. I've thought nothing I ever did was good enough. I question everything that's coming out my mouth, and I've even had thoughts of self-harm until I realised I could do comedy. And the result is the same. So thank you very much for enabling me tonight. Yeah, so I'm going to go before you realise I'm not a character act anyway. So good night, thank you very much. Bye-bye.